Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to our brand new Legal Matters program. हमारा कानूनी मशवरे का प्रोग्राम है. It's an interactive program. अब हम आए 2 महीने के बाद आए तकरीबन because of Muharram सफ़र के महीने के बाद, and we welcome all our viewers who've been eagerly waiting to see this program. And we have had a number of emails regarding legal matters and कानूनी मशवरे के मुताबिक. तो पहले तो सबको मैं मुबारकबाद देता हूँ for this जो ईद मिलाद नबी program है. To all the Muslim brothers and sisters around the world, सबको मुबारकबाद, and enjoy the program and enjoy the ये जो हमारा जो program अब आना है regarding the legal matters as well. And as usual, मेरे साथ will be with my team, Shai Mansoor Saab, who's a lawyer and he's specialised in immigration and legal matters, and also will be Raj Chopra Saab, who's a criminal lawyer, solicitor and advocate. Welcome.
Hello Ji, good evening.
Well, पहले तो मैं यही शुरू करता हूँ. Obviously Shai साहब, within the last 2 months काफ़ी changes आ चुकी हैं and rules के मुताबिक immigration, and इसको हमें अपने viewers को बताना ज़रूरी है, and so that उन्हें पता रहे changes क्या हैं.
Yeah, I mean there's been a number of changes which has been made part of the rules, starting with the 18,600 requirement for spouse visa, and then life in UK test, and after that obviously there's been further restrictions being imposed, you know, in terms of people who want to come here on visitor visas. There's no right of appeal, there is a bond requirement, so you know it's been like a trickle down effect. Slowly there's been more stringent requirements being put in place.
तो चले अभी आपसे बात करेंगे. राज साहब अभी आपके पास आते हैं because I know आप तो कोर्ट में जाके every day आपका काम है, और this is the views हमको ये बताना है that if they have an issue regarding any criminal matter that we have the expertise है. but अभी प्रोग्राम हमारा स्टार्ट हो गया, आपको एक थोड़ा सा ये बताना है व्यूज़ों को that we do have a technical problem with the telephone line. तो अगर आप कोशिश ये कॉलें लेंगे, but there is a problem. आज का प्रोग्राम ज़रा सा शॉर्ट होएगा because of the technicality problem, but इंशाल्लाह next week से हमारा प्रोग्राम is going to be running fully. और इस वक्त भी हम कोशिश ये करेंगे आपको जितने आप हमारे साथ क्वेश्चन करना चाहते हैं, एक इंटरैक्टिव प्रोग्राम रहेगा. अगर आप हमें ईमेल भेजना चाहें, हमारा ईमेल एड्रेस आ रहा होगा, वी कैन बी मोर देन हैप्पी. तो आज ज़रा शॉर्ट प्रोग्राम होएगा, तो आपको यही व्यूज़ों से यही रिक्वेस्ट होगी, अगर आप चाहते हैं प्लीज़ कॉल करें, नंबर स्क्रीन पर आएगा, और वी कैन बी मोर देन हैप्पी टू टेक द कॉल्स. So Raj, आपसे मुझे ये बात करना था just briefly in the criminal cases में obviously यहाँ पे again ये Christmas का period है. I know there's been stop and search and drink driving के मुताबिक people who got the points, उसमें हम how we can help them in that sense. If for example अगर किसी के 5 points हो गए, 6 points हो गए, and is there and they get speeding पे उनको points फिर लगे, and they're going to come to near to a ban, how and what can be done to help these people?
Well, we need to look at the evidence, in what circumstances they have committed an offence, such as speeding. I give you an example. We had a client who was going on the motorway in a slow moving traffic, and the speeding camera took a picture that he was doing 80 miles per hour. However, on the other side of the road it was absolutely no traffic. What happened? We asked for the photographic evidence, and we obtained the evidence from the police, which they're not supposed to give, but they usually 9 out of 10 times they do provide that detail. And I saw there was a white van going at a high speed in a hazy white picture, and then I proved it that the beam of the camera, instead of on this side of the road, it was moved a little bit because the lorries pass, and it was a little bit moved on the other side, so the laser beam triggered and he was caught speeding when he wasn't. So he had 9 points. After 12 more points he was going to get 6 months statutory ban, and we saved his license.
ठीक है राय साहब, एक कोई कॉल आ रही है जिसे हम शामिल करते हैं प्रोग्राम में. अभी आपके पास फिर क्वेश्चन पिकअप करते हैं. चलें, वो लाइन ड्रॉप हो गया अभी. ये मैं बात करना चाह रहा था. Obviously with if people do get the maximum points on speeding, isn't it a speed awareness course that can go on as well?
Yeah, it depends. You know, there's a band. If somebody is doing 40 mile zone if the speed is clocked at 46 or 45, the police will offer driving awareness course where people will not get any points or fine, but it depends, because there's a tolerance of 10% in the speedometer, plus and minus, and that's why if somebody is doing 40, 45 or 46 on 40-mile zone, and then the police has a discretion to ask them to take this driving awareness course.
So you're saying 10 miles per hour is a variance?
5
to 10?
It depends. It's a 10% tolerance.
Tolerance, 5%. 10%.
Mm.
ठीक है, अभी फिर आपके पास डिस्कस करते हैं few other issues. शायद obviously the new rules have come in, genuine test, the B1 test where people have to do the English language, and along with the ये जो test जो नए डाले, obviously there's a new requirement.
Yeah, that's right. You know, a lot of the people who are already here in UK, they want to switch to different categories, and one of the popular categories is the Tier 1 entrepreneur visa. So the Home Office stance is that they want to make sure that the people who are trying to switch to entrepreneur visa are actually genuinely be involved or engaging in business activity, and it's not just to circumvent immigration rules. So that's why they brought in test for genuineness, by which all it means is that they will be called for an interview, and the Home Office immigration officer will conduct an interview with them, quite a detailed, extensive interview, in which they would be looking in terms of whether they've got a business plan, what's their background, how much experience they've got in running businesses, and also there is a requirement for the person to be able to speak English. So it's not just that they need to show that they've got the sufficient funds to switch to entrepreneur visa. They need to be able to show that they've also got the requisite language requirements to be able to switch. So that's the whole idea.
So the genuine test is now already commenced.
Yeah.
So
it's been incorporated in other applications as well. So while you're trying to switch from one category to the other, chances are that more and more of the application would require you to come and actually be interviewed face to face.
So in other words, switching possibly in Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 4?
Tier 4, that's right.
And this will be one of the requirements. Obviously, this is very important.
It is, yeah.
You know, in the requirement, and people need to understand that the B1 English test for language skills is very important. If they don't pass it, they're not going to get through.
Exactly.
So it's a big issue. मैं अपने व्यूज़ को बताता चलूँ. अभी एक दो कॉल आए वो ड्रॉप हो चुके हैं. This is the technical problem. व्यूज़ से फिर हम माजरत करते हैं. But इंशाल्लाह आप ज़रूर कॉल करें. We will try to take calls. एक न्यूज़ ये देना थी Tier 1 पे the new rules which have come in, a graduate entrepreneur का जो they have now put a limit on the number of people can come to UK, and that limit is 2,000 people. So only 2,000 people got out from 6th of April 2013 to 5th of April 2014, and that's the limit they put a Home Office there. Similar Tier 1 exception rules में उन्होंने एक और करा हुआ है, exceptional talent is उस पे आपको जो फीस होगी वो upfront नहीं देने की ज़रूरत होगी, because they don't need to do that, and basically application उसमें आपका पासपोर्ट की सबमिट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, and because it goes to a designated competent authority जहाँ पे वो जाके पेपर चेक होएगा, फिर आपको वो काम हो सकता है. Similar Tier 2 का उन्होंने ये करा हुआ है, जो inter company जो visas होते हैं, people want to come here on a company जहाँ पे employees हैं, उसका ना process को भी थोड़ा speed up करा हुआ है to help people who want to come and work in the country under Tier 2 as a company. And Tier 4 उन्होंने उसमें भी एक और news ये है जहाँ पे बंदे Tier 4 पे they can go on to do on a PhD level, and that will be extended for another 1 year. So these are some of the new changes. Shahid, obviously these are some dramatic and very much significant changes.
That's right.
In these tiers. Yeah. So how do you feel that ये कुछ benefit हो रहा है, कोई अच्छी बात है? Obviously there's a big improvement.
Yeah, I mean, overall, if you look at the government strategy, they when they came into power, they had this, stance that they wanted to cut the number of people coming to UK, and obviously they wanted to deport as many illegal immigrants as possible. So this point-based system has gone to an extent in order to, curtail the number of immigrants. If you look at the statistics, immigration has been falling gradually, but obviously the people from Europe, they are free to come over here.
ये तो मैं आपसे अभी बात करूँगा यूरोप की. I'm going to leave that for a minute. Keep that one because Romanian, Bulgarians is a big issue. We'll talk about that. Right, sab, again, आपसे ये बात करना थी. What about in terms of we want to आपके बारे में ये बताना चाह रहे हैं how experienced you are, and this is the kind of work you're very good at. So any criminal issues, jump in domestic violence guy or anything with
anything to do
GBH,
with the police,
police.
assaults, money laundering.
Thought us explain करें because I want the people to understand that we have the experts here and we can help them. And obviously we're working in with the Harrison Bryce solicitors, so they are specialised in certain fields of these corporate law. I'll talk to you that in a minute. But पहले आप ये बताएं जो आप कह रहे थे.
Well, I specialize in criminal matters, money laundering, anything to do with the police, assaults, murders, rapes, etc. Fraud, DHS fraud, anything. Road traffic matters, taxi appeals, because taxi drivers, they are not supposed to have any points on their licenses, or if they are convicted of any criminal offence, the council will remove them from having a badge. So we specialize in
unless it's spent.
Yeah.
Unless it's spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it depends what category it is under the Rehabilitation Act, whether it's the conviction is spent or not, and also the trading standard matters, any personal licenses, liquor, alcohol.
So when you mentioned about liquor and licenses, you mentioned that the ban, how much is it consumption before you get banned in average? Is it, 35 million?
No, that is 35 is the least legal limit.
Okay.
Above, if you got alcohol in your body, more than 35 micrograms of alcohol in 100 milliliters of air, and then you commit an offence driving under the influence of alcohol. So,
for example, somebody's been breathalyzed and been found over the limit. Obviously, that's not the complete. There's another test to be done.
That is only the road test, roadside test.
Yeah. So, let's explain it, so that we just clear it with different communities and people.
If the police officer who stops has a reasonable suspicion that a person has been driving under the influence of alcohol or any drug, and then he can breathalyze that person, that is a roadside test. And if it is positive, then they will take him to or her to the police station, and then that person will be put on an intoxilizer, where 2 readings will be taken, and the police will take the lowest of the 2, and then they decide, and obviously they will be charged, and they will be going to court, and then we can thereafter represent them.
Gigi, okay, that's, I understand that. Shahid, we were talking about ye jab hum discuss kar rahe about the Europeans. मैं तो a bit alarmed at the moment because under the new EU, the free movement of people and the Bulgarians and the Romanians of nationals, they've been now free to come in and work
from the 1st of January.
1st of January to 2014. But they have to be for the first 3 months. They cannot go on public recourse funding, i.e. job seeker allowance or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is
the rules. This is the new rules.
That's right. The government or the public were fearful that if the restrictions are lifted, which they were obviously from 1st of January, there was a media campaign in all the British newspapers that we're going to be flooded with Romanians and Bulgarians. But obviously, as the facts are,
I think ये assumption ये थी ना अभी लग रहा है सब that अभी European में Bulgarians आएंगे, Romanians are going to come in, and it's going to be countries going to be
there's already a strain on the public services. I mean, the infrastructure is going to crumble under the load of obviously there's only so many people a country can absorb, which is a fair point. But if you look at the facts, so far only 21 Romanians have come.
Only 21.
And 15 Bulgarians since the 1st of January.
So since 1st of January, these are the figures.
These are the actual figures.
और उस पे इतना शोर शराबा हुआ है. The media is hyped it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a hysteria, created.
Yeah.
Okay, then मैं यही सोच रहा था. Obviously, the European people, when they come over here, there is no requirement for them to take the English language test.
That's right. Because
even though they can't speak the language.
Yeah, there is no requirement because under the EU free movement of people, there isn't any specific requirement for people to speak any language, So people from Britain, when they go to France, Germany or Italy, they're not supposed to know the national languages of those countries.
But this is only like for the people coming from Asia, Southeast Asia, unke non-EU.
Non-EU,
absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
So it's a bit, Yankee rules are just one-sided.
Like double standard.
Yes. This is the whole thing about the whole issue. Then again, views and some यही कहेंगे that अगर आपके पास कोई issue है, legal matters, we do have some problems with the telephone lines at the moment. I've been told, and we do apologise. इसके हम माजरा करते हैं that there is a problem, but we're still trying to take the calls. आप email कर सकते हैं, and we'll be more than happy to take emails. And inshallah we'll carry on as much as possible to give you the advice. So we'll just carry on now at the moment. Raj, you mentioned, आपने mentioned करा था about the attempted murders and people who have been involved in these kind of issues have arisen. How can we obviously can help and bail these people out? What is this procedure you're going to go follow in this?
Well, if somebody has committed an offence, criminal offence,
because sometimes they get police come and arrest them, and nobody knows where they are for about 10 hours. They're interviewing them.
Every person who has been arrested, he has a right to inform somebody of his arrest. He has rights, quite a few rights as well, and to speak to a lawyer of his choice. If his own personal lawyer is not available, the police will arrange a duty solicitor for him to get representation. And thereafter, obviously, they will interview him, take his account, and then if he'll be probably bailed if there are further inquiries to be made. If not, they will charge. And if the sergeant thinks that he may not attend court or the offence is very serious, he may not release him on bail to attend court, then he'll go to court. Obviously, every person has a right for unconditional bail, depending on what sort of offence it is, indictable or either way, etc. And then we can make bail application, and if it is rejected in lower court, that person has a right for judge in chamber bail application in Crown Court, and thereafter we will depends whether it's a guilty plea, not guilty plea, and then we'll prepare his case.
मैं इसलिए आपसे पूछ रहा था, question is like कभी-कभी police आती है, they drop a card off somebody's house, please we need to contact you. Contact the police station and you must come and see us. So when जब वो बंदा चला जाता है वहाँ, उसे कहते ठीक है मैं जाके उनसे बात कर आता हूँ, only to find out उसे वहाँ बंद कर लिया, nobody knows now where he is. How long they're going to hold him in the police station for the interview? 8 hours, 5 hours. उनका एक limit होती है ना. Then they have to then obviously charge you.
Well, if person is arrested, sergeant can only keep him there at the police station up to 6 hours. If the ground exists to obtain evidence by questioning, and if the inquiries are ongoing, everything is done expeditiously, then the inspector will come thereafter 6 hours to review, and he can extend the time limit to 9 hours. Obviously, representation will be made either by the client, or if he has a solicitor, he will make representation and oppose to further extension of time. And then 6 hours, 9 hours, and again after 9 hours the ground still exists, police is still making inquiries, he can, the inspector in uniform can again review the detention and extend it to 9 hours, so that's 24 hours maximum. And thereafter, if the ground still exists, the superintendent can increase it to another 12 hours, and thereafter they have to take the person to the court to get further extension if the inquiries are ongoing and further evidence is required to prove that the threshold of the offence is made out.
तो अच्छा ठीक है, आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह समझा है. What about जब
that's the basic at the police station.
ये जो stop and search होता है, जैसे वो उन्होंने सोचा ये he looks a bit suspicious, ये जा रहे हैं, you know, basically was it unki feeling that he might be committing a crime or has been involved. We understand they can do that, but what about innocent people jab jinko pakad lete, and say for example koi innocent hai usne koi galat kaam nahi kara, but he happens to look like you know, he's wo masjid ja raha hai, he be like for example is wrong identity. So how are we going to help them kind of people?
Well,
I want that message going out to the people, because we can help them kind of people.
Yes, if a police officer who has a reasonable suspicion that somebody has committed an offence or about to commit an offence or going to commit an offence, and then he can stop and search, and if he thinks that he has committed an offence, he'll be arrested and cautioned, and then will be taken to the police station, and then again, as I explained before, he has a right to inform somebody of his arrest, he has a right to speak to a lawyer, and those things will kick in afterwards.
चलें अभी आपके पास फिर अभी बात करेंगे. शायद coming back to obviously discussion about the Bulgarian Romanians. Obviously इन्होंने एक rules में ये भी डाल दिया है, the new rules even specify that these people can come into the country, so they must not, for 3 months they should not rely on anything, and after that, after which they, if they do and go onto some kind of a public resources, including British nationals, इनका ये भी है British nationals उनका, जो कोई holiday पे चला गया, जैसे यहाँ से जाते हैं बंदे पाकिस्तान जाते हैं और कहीं यूरोप में चले गए, दुबई चले गए, फिर वापस आते हैं, उन पे भी ये rule applicable है, that for 6 months it'll be a cut off time.
That's right.
For any kind of benefits in that sort.
That's right. It's not only that, actually the government is even considering to extend that 6 month cut-off point to 3 years. So basically, if you've been unable or unsuccessful in terms of gaining, you know, seeking gainful employment, then you would be barred or banned from claiming any kind of benefits for up to 3 years, not just 6 months. So obviously these are some of the policy measures in the pipeline. And as you know, that a lot of the talk that we hear in the media or through the government sources, they do get implemented eventually. So it is looking like that the benefit ban will come in place, and it won't be just for 6 months, quite possibly for up to 3 years.
3 years. ठीक है शाहिद साहब, राज साहब, अब ब्रेक की तरफ चल रही. आपको यही again माजर करते हैं for the technicality problem at the moment with the telephone lines, but we're still trying to take calls. There is a problem, but inshallah emails still on. If you do want to email us, हमारा address आ रहा है, we'll be more than happy to take them calls, and inshallah अभी ब्रेक के बाद फिर आते हैं, तो फिर देखते रहें हिदायत टीवी कानूनी मशवरे, legal matters.